Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Welcome to morning Bhagavatam class. Today my words is all about 3.6.34. And the chapter is creation of universal form. So before going to the verse, I want to recap everything what happened earlier in this chapter. So this chapter, it is all about creation. For the verses from 1 to 10, it talks about the development of gigantic universal form and how Karna, the Kshaya Vishnu, saw elements in unmixed state. And he sent the Vibharta Shakti to amalgamate all the elements and form the golden egg. And the golden egg, like a fetus, with all living entities, resided for 1,000 celestial years on a Karana ocean. So Lord Ganapata Kshaya Vishnu entered the golden universal egg and gave it a life. All living entities, including demigods, are enlivened as if like awakened from sleep. So the Virat Rupa differentiated into 3 Shaktis, Jiva and Prana and Apana. So these are like Jiva, Prana, so Jiva, Prana and Atma Shakti. So these are the 3 Shaktis from Virat Rupa we get. And Jiva is nothing but the consciousness of soul, and Prana Shakti is the 10 life airs, like Prana, Apana, Samana, Udana, Vyana, Naga, Nrkara, Kurma, Devadatta, Dhananjaya. And then Atma Shakti is like self-identification, Adhyatma, Adibhuta, and Adidaiva. So these are all emanated from Virat Rupa. And the verses from 11 to 26, it's all talking about the manifestation of different demigods from the universal form. Example like a gross organ, like a mouth, Adibhuta, generated from the universal form, which is like a presiding deity, controlling deity, Adidaiva, fire and Agni. From mouth, fire, the universal preceding deity, Agni. And then he will reside there along with the sense organ, Adhyatma, and voice. And what is the sense object? Tanmatra, or action of that organ, is to express oneself in words. So these are all manifested from universal form. So the mouth, if we will take an example of eyes, maybe. So eyes means the presiding deity, Surya. And the sense object is to see various forms, the eyesight and to see the various forms. That is the sense object to see. So so there are not just mouth and eyes, but everything, nose, everything is like so many demigods manifested from the Virat Rupa. The verse from 27 to 29. The developments of planets like living entities and varnas developed. So we can even say that from Virat Rupa, Sattva Guna, like demigods who are Sattva Guna, and Rajaguna, like the human beings, and from the abdomen, Tamoguna, so the sky and everything emanated. So the demigods, they manifested from head of the Virat Rupa, and from legs, the human beings are born, and from abdomen, the sky. So these are all the development of planets and living entities and varnas from Virat Rupa. So coming to verses 30 to 33, manifestation of varnas, like how the manifestation of varnas are happening. So first from the mouth, the Brahmanas manifested, and the role of them is like a teacher and spiritual masters. And the arms, Kshatriya, armed Kshatriyas, like they have the power to protect, and from the thighs, like Vaishyas, because the role is thing they need to produce grains and distribute them. And the fourth Varna is the Shudras, and as Jagadananda Prabhu very nicely explained that role to satisfy the Lord by service. So today my verse is all about, like we can say, what should be the duties and how can we worship and how to go, like what is the procedure, how we can accomplish the goal of life. So we'll be reading 3.6.34. I'll share my screen. Three 3.6.34. एते वर्ण स्वधर्मेण यज्जन्ति स्वगुरुं हरिं श्रद्धयात्मा विशुद्धार्थं यज्ञाता साह वृत्तिभिः. All these different synonyms, ete, all these, varnaha, so orders of society, swadharmena, by one's own occupational duties, yajanti, worship, swagurum, with spiritual master, Harim, the Supreme Personal of Godhead, Shraddhaya, with faith and devotion, Atma, self, Vishuddhi Artham, for purifying, Yat, from whom, Jagataha, born, Saha, along with, Vrittibihi, occupational duty. So the translation, all these different social divisions are born with their occupational duties and living conditions from the Supreme Personal of Godhead. Thus, for unconditional life and self-realization, one has to worship the Supreme Lord under the direction of the spiritual master. So we got the four varnas and we don't know how to, what is the goal of life. So under the direction of spiritual master, we can achieve the goal. Purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Since they are born from different parts of the body of the Supreme Lord in his gigantic form, all living entities in all parts of the entire universe are supposed to be eternal servitors of the Supreme Body. Every part of our own body, such as the mouth, hands, thighs, and legs, is meant to render service to the whole. That is their constitutional position. In subhuman life, the living entities are not consciousness of this constitutional position, but in the human form of life, they are supposed to know this through the system of the varnas, the social orders. As above mentioned, the Brahmana is the spiritual master of all the orders of the society, and thus Brahmanical culture culminating in the transcendental service of the Lord is the basic principle for purifying the soul. In conditioned life, the soul is under the impression that he can become the Lord of the universe. And the last point of this misconception is to think oneself the supreme. The foolish conditioned soul does not take into account that the supreme cannot be conditioned by Maya or illusion. If the supreme were to become conditioned by illusion, where would be his supremacy? In that case, Maya or illusion would be the supreme. Therefore, because the living entities are conditioned, they cannot be supreme. The actual position of the conditioned soul is explained in this verse. All the conditioned souls are impure due to contact with the material energy in three modes of nature. Therefore, it is necessary that they purify themselves under the guidance of the bona fide spiritual master, who not only is a Brahmana by qualification, but must also be a Vaishnava. The only self-purifying process mentioned herein is to worship the Lord under the recognized method, under the guidance of the bona fide spiritual master. That is the natural way of purification, and no other method is recommended as a bona fide. The other methods of purification may be helpful to come to this stage of life, but ultimately one has to come to this point before attains actual perfection. Bhagavad Gita 7.9 confirms this truth as follows. Bahunam janmanam ante jnanavan mam prapadyate vasudeva sarvamiti samhatma sudurlabha. Before going to the verse, I want to make prayers to Guru and devotees so that I can something I could tell something meaningful. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshuranmilitam Mena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Mena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Tapatakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavam Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Ragadhanantam Samsajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Sri Vichakanutam Sham He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatprite Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namaspate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Brindavaneshwari Varshabhanu Sudhe Devi Pranamami Haripriya Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhabhya Patitanam Pavalebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Dvaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Seeking all assembled Vaishnava devotees and seeking your blessings and His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj. I'll pray for forgiveness if I do something wrong, and I pray for all of your blessings. So this verse, it talks about like what is our, like how we can purify ourselves in order to progress in human life, in human form of life. Etya Varna, there are so many orders of society. Swadharmena, by one's own, so by one's own occupational duties. Yajanti, worship. Swagurum Harim. So the secret is revealed. So under the guidance of the spiritual master, Harim, the Supreme Personality. So we need to worship Supreme Personality of Godhead under the guidance of the spiritual master. Shraddhaya, with faith and devotion. How we can do? Through faith and devotion. Vishuddhyartham, for purifying, for whom? Like Vishuddhyartham, yajjatah saha vrittibihi. So from whom born along with the occupation. So we need to worship Lord Sri Krishna through the disciplic succession, like spiritual master, by following our own dharma, swadharmena. So going into this, I want to talk more about the purification of existence. So until now, we know how the varnas and everything came from the Virat Purusha. So I have taken notes from His Holiness Mahavishnu Goswami Maharaj. So whatever I speak today, I am taking blessings of Mahavishnu Goswami Maharaj, and I'm talking about purification of existence. So when we walk in the roads, actually, like especially in India, our legs will be contaminated. So when we come home, we clean it up and then we get into the house. So the cleaning process is needed. If not, we'll get diseased and we might get effect on health. So this cleanliness is always needed. So the same thing applies for our soul also. So we need to clean it by chanting and hearing. So that is the only cleanliness for the soul. Just we clean the outside body, we need to clean the inside of the body. So all the conditioned souls are impure due to contact with the material in the three modes of nature. Therefore, it is necessary that we purify themselves under the guidance of the bona fide spiritual master, who not only is a Brahmana by qualification, but also must also be a Vaishnava. It is stated in 3.6.34. Very clearly, Prabhupada explained how we can take the guidance of spiritual master. So furthermore, going to the purification of existence, I want to talk more about 6 points, maybe, 6 points. One is like eating, and the second one is body and senses, and the third is all about mind, intelligence, speech, and consciousness, the 6 things. So how we can purify these from gross to subtle, okay, from eating to consciousness, gross to subtle. So purification of eating, we can see in Chandrodaya Upanishad in 7.26.2, it said that by performance of yajna, one's eatables become sanctified. And by eating that sanctified foodstuffs, one's own existence becomes purified. By the purification of existence, finer tissues in the memory can be sanctified, become sanctified, and the memory is sanctified. So one can think the path of the liberation. So that is clearly mentioned in Chandrodaya Upanishad. When we take the nectar of instruction verse, it says Atyahara prayasascha prajalpo niyamagraha janasangascha laulyamcha sadbhir bhaktir vinashyati. One's devotional service is spoiled when he becomes too entangled in the following 6 types of activities. Eating more than necessary or collecting more funds than required. Over endeavoring for mundane things that are very difficult to obtain. Talking unnecessary about mundane subject matters. Practicing the spiritual rules and regulations only for the sake of following them and not for the sake of the spiritual advancement, or rejecting the rules and regulations of the scriptures and working independently and whimsically, associating with worldly minded persons who are not interested in Krishna consciousness, and being greedy for mundane achievements. So these are all the things which spoil our devotional service. So we should be really, really careful. We should not endeavor for eating more and collecting more. And comes to the second point, from gross to subtle, right? So we'll be discussing about the body and senses, how we can purify our body. So in Bhagavatam 2.8.3, it states about Oh, greatly fortunate Sukadeva Goswami, please continue narrating Srimad Bhagavatam so that I can place my mind upon the super soul, Lord Krishna, and being freed, completely freed from material qualities, thus relinquish this body. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada nicely explained. So he told Lord Krishna is like the sun, and the material contamination is like the darkness. So as the presence of sun dissipates darkness, constant engagement in the association of the Lord Krishna frees one from contamination of the material qualities. So the contamination by material qualities is the cause of repeated birth and death, and the liberation from material qualities is transcendence. So we should be like sun is like his sun, and the material contamination is the darkness. So if the sun's presence is there, the darkness will pervade. But if the Lord Krishna we forget him, it's everything darkness. So darkness means we need to go through birth, death, or so same thing, it goes on. So we should make sure that simply by hearing, our body improves and also becomes transcendental. So no disease touches us because of our past sinful reactions. We suffer from it. But by hearing, we can clear that bodily contamination. So coming to purification of mind. So we are coming from gross to subtle. So we are coming to the subtle part. mind. How can we purify mind? So it is even given in 5.11.17. So it is all about uncontrolled mind. Jadabharata Maharaj. He was talking. This uncontrolled mind is the greatest enemy of the living entity. If one neglects it or gives it a chance, it will grow more and more powerful and will become victorious. Although it is not factual, it is very strong. It covers the constitutional position of the soul. O King, please try to conquer this mind by the weapon of service to the lotus feet of the spiritual master and of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Do this with great care. So this is the one. It's really touched my heart, so I wanted to present. So I can even during the chanting session with Shyam Sundar Prabhu, I learned so many things. So whatever I learned, I just want to give like a point wise. First, we need to neglect the mind. First point. And the second point is we should be expert in disobeying the orders of the mind. We should be expert itself. And the third is gradually mind should be trained to obey the orders of the soul. And the fourth one, as given by Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, we should beat the mind with the shoes many times before going to sleep so that it will hear us. And the fifth point is we strictly abide by the orders of the spiritual master and engage in Lord's service. So these are if we keep these in our mind, we can at least render our services to Lord Krishna and Guru Maharaj. So Srila Prabhupada puts a very powerful punch statement in this 5.11.17 saying that if you are not able to do all of these above 5 things, just simply follow the fifth one and you will be successful. If one abides by the order of the spiritual master, by the grace of Krishna, he is freed from the service to the mind. So this is the only way of purification of the mind. So coming to the fourth one, purification of intelligence, Vishuddha Buddhi. So I took some points from 1.6.7. So the world is under the control of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, everyone is like a wooden doll in the hands of puppet master. So the intelligence, everything animate and inanimate helplessly follow the order of the Krishna. So this buddhi, the intelligence, we should be purified intelligence. To be out of anxiety and clear our doubts. The main symptom of Vishuddha Buddhi is that the world is under. We should know that this world is under the control of the Krishna, and this is the only principle. If we remember this, our intelligence will be more clear. I'm just running fast. And coming to the fifth and sixth points, speech and consciousness, I am telling it together. It's all about 3.6.36. So in spite of my inability, whatever I have been to hear from spiritual master and whatever I assimilate, I'm now describing in glorification of the Lord by pure speech. For otherwise, my power of speaking would remain unchaste. So, Prabhupada magnanimously wonderful purport illustrates complete purification of existence by including speech and consciousness and everything by simply preaching the glories of the Lord. So we can purify our speech just by preaching. So I made a small thing like from gross to subtle, we can purify our existence only by surrendering our service to the Lord Krishna and Guru Maharaj. So what we need to do in order to purify ourselves, I have 5 more points. Like we need to do Nityam Bhagavata Sevya, always hear the glories of Lord Krishna. And we have to churn our minds and intelligence to understand and assimilate the Lord and hear and with mind and intelligence, so that we can get purified. And we can get purified even by giving some like glorifying the Lord and some preaching activities. So one should daily read Bhagavatam or hear Bhagavatam, which purifies, and automatically the prasadam purifies us. So at the end, I want to conclude this session by Nandanandanashtakam, as this is the Purushottam month and this is auspicious month, and I really feel blessed because I could do something service for the service in preaching the glories of the Lord by reading some verses from Bhagavatam. So it's I'm so happy to read this Nandanandanashtakam, the last like 1-2 verses maybe. So Sucharu Bhrakta Mandalam Sukarnaratna Kundalam Surachitanga Chandanam Namami Nandanandanam Sudirga Netra Pankajam Sikirshi Kandam Murtajam Ananga Koti Mohanam Namami Nandanandanam Namami Nandanandanam Namami Nandanandanam Namami Nandanandanam Namami Nandanandanam. I'll pray for all of you so that we can continue our whatever vows we took for Purushottam month. I offer pranam to Nandanandana, whose face is extremely delightful, in whose beautiful ears hang jeweled earrings, and whose entire body is annotated with fragrant chandana. I offer my pranam to Nandanandana, whose eyes are very beautiful than the fully bloomed lotus, whose head is beautifully adorned with an arrangement of peacock feathers, and who enchants millions of cupids. I want to conclude this. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha krupasindabhyo cha bhaktanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. If I'm open, if there are any comments. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Please
Hare
accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Guru Maharaj Srila Prabhupada. Thank you, Mataji. As always, full of points. I mean, you have researched how to please the Supreme Lord, whatever be the varna or ashram we are placed in. I was reading the other day, even Lord does not allow even the Shudras to remain a Shudra. I mean, he wants him to be, spiritually advancing. And it is not like one varna is above the other. All varnas are directly in service to the Lord. So, whereas in our misconception, we think the Brahmana is the highest. The Shudra is the lowliest, and such a societal, hatreds and all those things come into existence. But actually, everybody, whatever varna or ashram is supposed to progress spiritually and serve the Lord, so that peace and like Prathu Maharaj says, when a society is so nicely organized in service to the Lord, the Lord's lotus eyes always shower so much mercy, prosperity on that society. Thank you very much. And of course, your song praising the Lord. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Yeah, it's really helpful, the insights you gave. Yeah, everybody can do the service. I know. Actually, when I was very little, I was with my grandmother, and she's not here anymore, but we were walking, and we went to a temple, and I saw Pujari doing everything, and I said to my grandmother, I want to be Pujari. And she's like, are you crazy? No, she didn't say that, are you crazy? But she said, it takes millions of years to come to that priest role. I was like, no, I want to be this Janma. I was like, no, we can't be.
So you have achieved that.
Yeah. So like, it doesn't matter like whatever we are born, which caste we are born, or which varna we are born, but just we should be really we should be focused on what we wanted, and we should proceed with the goal.
Yeah, like one day a Western devotee was saying in his talk, Krishna is so magnanimous. I was just walking the street and he has asked me, come become my pujari. Like a Western devotee was saying like that. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, I really like. Yes, Mataji. Yeah,
personal service to the Lord. Yes.
Yes.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. If there is nothing, then I'll conclude the Bhagavatam recitation. Vancha kalpatarupyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Ananta koti Vaishnava Vranda ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. His Holiness Prabhupada Radhanath Swami Maharaj ki jai. Hare Krishna.